I'm sure a lot of you have seen all of the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory versus Charlie and the Chocolate Factory movie comparison videos. And what I want to talk about is something that popped out to me between the two movies, and it's about Veruca Salt. Look at these pictures and tell me if you see it. Not getting it? One more time. Look very closely. Alright, what I'm trying to get at is the Mr. Salt in the second movie is so much older than the Mr. Salt in the first movie. So much older in appearance, but also so much older than Veruca. I did some research. In the Willy Wonka movie, the age gap between Veruca and Mr. Salt, actor-wise, is 23 years. In the Charlie movie, the age gap between Veruca and Mr. Salt, actor-wise at least, is 54 years. Why would someone 54 years older than the child actor who's supposed to be their kid be cast? And this stuck out to me because I'm a child of older parents, so it was also kind of like, hey, representation. But also, not only do we have Mr. Salt, who became a father at 54 in the second movie, we can look at Mrs. Salt too. And she's clearly younger than him. Not in a way where it feels too gross, but she's clearly younger than him, and people could probably assume that she's a trophy wife. I mean, I feel guilty saying that about a movie character, but it looked sus to me a little bit. And so I wonder, is Mr. Salt spoiling his daughter because he feels like he's too old to keep up with her and like has the money for it? But also, Mrs. Salt doesn't say anything and doesn't try to correct Veruca's behavior either. I want you to watch this scene.
Where's my golden ticket? I want my golden ticket!
Well, gentlemen,
So, when I was younger, I thought that maybe Mrs. Salt was either A, an alcoholic, or B, drinking because of Veruca's behavior. But in a world where people see the mother as the primary parent, don't you think that this would have been the time for her to speak up? I mean, the father looks just kind of distressed, and she's just here like, "Whoop, I'm not in this." It's odd. And considering that that was her reaction, I'm guessing that she acts this way too. And that's how Veruca learned that behavior. The Oompa Loompas say it in both movies. Kids just don't end up like that on their own. They learn it from their parents. I mean, we could say that, like, look, Mr. Salt is clearly rich. She could have been raised by nannies. I'm not sure about that because it's obvious that Veruca does have some kind of relationship with her parents, you know? But, yeah, again, I hate to call Mrs. Salt a trophy wife, but this really is what it feels like. Um, and that, I mean, come on. Mr. Salt is up there in age, clearly has a lot of money. She is clearly younger. Ugh, I feel like people are gonna hate me for saying that, but it's like, I don't see Veruca as someone who learned how to be a brat from her father, because her father seems like an alright guy. Like, kind of arrogant, but he doesn't really seem like any kind of like happy or calm about Veruca saying, I want this, I want that. He looks flustered every single time, even though he's trying to do his best. And, you know, I mean, it must be hard for him as someone who, I guess, is in his like 60s at the time of the video with a young child. However, the one thing I don't get is that, there are people in real life who are like, well, back in my day, you know, that behavior was stopped way sooner. So I guess that's the part that I don't get. But I mean, with Mr. Salt being at work, maybe he didn't exactly raise her. So maybe it's compensating because he didn't exactly raise her, plus the fact that he's older. Yeah, that's just how I feel. I mean, it just baffles me why there was such a difference in the two movies. I feel like there was a reason. Let me know what you guys think.